What if the secret to living a long, vibrant life was simpler than you ever imagined? Not locked away in some high-tech lab or hidden behind a paywall of expensive treatments, but sitting right there in front of you, waiting to be picked up, like a forgotten treasure? What if, instead of resigning yourself to the idea that aging means creaky joints, fuzzy memory, and endless doctor visits, you could flip the script entirely, turning those later years into a time of energy, sharpness, and even a little swagger? It's not about chasing fountain of youth fantasies or guzzling kale smoothies until you turn green. It's about habits, real ones, grounded in science and proven by people who've lived it. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on 5 golden habits that can transform how you age. Habits so practical, you might wonder why you didn't start them sooner, yet so powerful they could rewrite your future. We're going to explore why the first thing you do each morning might matter more than your entire day combined, how a tiny tweak in what you eat could shield your brain from fading, and what a 90-year-old marathon runner knows that's light years ahead of the average couch potato. Along the way, we'll weave in stories like the Italian grandma who still climbs ladders in her garden at 92, and dig into research that's turning heads in labs around the world. Stick around until the very end, because these aren't just random tips to scribble down and forget. They're game changers that build on each other, layer by layer, until the final one hits you with a twist you won't see coming. By the time we're done, you'll have a roadmap, not some vague, wishy-washy advice, but a clear, actionable path to thriving as the years pile on, and maybe even a spark to start today. Why stay till the end? Because the last habit might just flip everything you thought you knew about getting older upside down, and you don't want to miss that. The power of starting small. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, blinking the sleep from your eyes and feeling just a touch more alive, your mind a little clearer, your body a little less stiff, all without dragging yourself through some grueling, sweat-soaked workout or swearing off every food you love. That's where this journey kicks off, with the smallest of steps. So tiny, they almost feel like cheating, yet so potent, they stack up into something massive over time. Too many people picture healthy aging as this towering mountain of effort. Marathon training at dawn, kale-only diets, meditation retreats in the Himalayas. But the truth? That's a recipe for burnout, not longevity. Science backs this up. Studies from places like the National Institutes of Health show that small, consistent habits outshine big, flashy changes every single time when it comes to sticking with them and seeing results. Take something as basic as drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning. Sounds almost laughably simple, doesn't it? But here's why it's a quiet powerhouse. After 6 or 8 hours of sleep, your body's running on empty, parched from head to toe. Your cells are sluggish, your brain's foggy, your joints are creaking like an old door. That one glass of water, cool, crisp, maybe with a squeeze of lemon, if you're feeling fancy, floods your system like rain on dry soil. Research from Germany found it can crank your metabolism up by as much as 30% within an hour, sending energy rippling through your muscles and organs. It flushes out toxins, lubricates your joints, even perks up your skin so you look less like you just rolled out of a cave. Now, let's layer on another little move, a 5-minute stretch. Nothing intense, no yoga guru poses or gym bro grunting, just a gentle reach for the ceiling, a twist to the side, maybe a bend to touch your toes, if you're up for it. A study out of Japan tracked older adults who did this daily, and after just 30 days, they reported less stiffness, better balance, and fewer falls. Stuff that keeps you independent, not stuck in a chair. These aren't grand, life-altering leaps. They're whispers of change, sneaky little habits that slip into your routine without fanfare. The beauty is, they don't demand willpower or a gym membership, just a moment of intention. Start with water. Add a stretch. Maybe toss in a deep breath or two while you're at it. Before you know it, Your body's humming along, building strength and resilience under the radar, all because you didn't try to do everything at once. It's like planting a seed. You don't see the tree right away, but give it time, and you've got shade for years. Food isn't just fuel. Let's shift gears and talk about what's on your plate, because it's not just about filling your belly, it's about feeding every cell in your body with the raw materials to fight aging tooth and nail. Picture a 92-year-old woman in a sun-drenched Italian village, her hands dusty from pulling carrots out of her garden, her kitchen buzzing with the smell of garlic and olive oil sizzling in a pan. Someone asks her how she's still climbing ladders and hauling baskets at her age, and she just chuckles, "I eat what grows around me, no fuss, no tricks." She's not wrong, and she's not alone. People like her are living proof of what researchers call the Mediterranean diet, though it's less a strict rulebook and more a delicious, messy way of life. Think olive oil dripping over crusty bread, handfuls of walnuts or almonds snatched from a bowl, fish grilled with lemon, and herbs, mountains of colorful veggies, tomatoes, zucchini, spinach, maybe a glass of red wine to wash it down while the sun sets. A massive study tracking over 10,000 people for years found that folks who ate this way slashed their risk of heart disease and dementia by half as they aged. Half! The secret's in the ingredients: omega-3 fatty acids from fish and nuts, antioxidants from berries and greens, healthy fats from olive oil that keep your arteries flexible and your brain firing. These aren't just nutrients. They're warriors against inflammation, that silent, creeping enemy that ages you faster by gumming up your joints, clouding your thoughts, and stressing your heart. But here's where it gets practical. You don't need to move to Sicily or turn your kitchen into a 5-star restaurant overnight. Start small. Swap out that stick of butter for a drizzle of olive oil when you're cooking eggs tomorrow. Toss a handful of walnuts into your oatmeal or yogurt instead of reaching for sugary cereal. Maybe grill some salmon next weekend instead of ordering takeout. These aren't sacrifices. They're upgrades, subtle shifts that start repairing your body from the inside out. And the payoff? Your taste buds won't even miss the junk once you settle into it. Olive oil's got a richness that makes butter feel flat, and those nuts add a crunch that beats any chip. Beyond the science, there's a vibe to it. Eating like this feels alive, connected to the earth, like you're borrowing a page from people who've cracked the code on living long and well. It's not about perfection or some rigid meal plan. It's about nudging your fork toward stuff that fights for you, not against you, one bite at a time. The mind needs a workout, too. Your brain isn't some dusty attic you can ignore as you get older. It's a living, hungry thing, craving action, and ready to grow if you give it half a chance. There's this guy named Ed, 87 years young, who still sits down at the chessboard with his grandkids and wipes the floor with them, grinning like he's got a secret they'll never guess. When someone asked how he stays so sharp, he leaned back and said, "I never stop playing, keeps the old noggin ticking." He's onto something big, and it's not just about chess or Sudoku or those brain-training apps that promise miracles. For $9.99 a month? Sure, those are fine. Studies show puzzles can boost memory and focus a bit, but the real magic, the stuff that keeps your mind limber and young, happens when you throw it into uncharted waters. Think learning a language, fumbling through Spanish conjugations or Mandarin tones until you can order a coffee without blushing, or picking up a guitar, your fingers tripping over the strings until a shaky twinkle twinkle starts to sound. Halfway decent. Even figuring out that app your kids keep raving about, TikTok or whatever's hot now, counts because it's new, it's tricky, and it makes your brain sweat. A study from the University of Texas took a bunch of folks over 60 and had them dive into skills they'd never tried, like photography or quilting, and after 3 months, their memory was sharper, their thinking faster, like they'd turned back the clock. Why does it work? Because new challenges force your brain to build fresh highways between neurons, connections that keep it flexible and tough against the wear of time. The catch is, you can't coast on autopilot. Doing the same crossword every Sunday won't cut it. Your brain gets lazy, like a muscle that's never lifted anything heavier than a feather. Step outside your comfort zone, and suddenly you're not just maintaining, you're growing. Picture this. Instead of scrolling X for an hour tonight, you download a free app and learn to say hello in 5 languages: French, Japanese, Swahili, whatever lights a spark. It's clumsy, it's fun, and it's firing up parts of your mind that have been napping too long. Or maybe you grab a sketchbook and doodle something terrible, doesn't matter, because the act of trying rewires you. Ed's not special, he's just stubborn enough to keep his brain in the game, and you can too. Movement that doesn't feel like work. Picture a 90-year-old woman crossing the finish line of a marathon, sweat on her brow, a grin splitting her face wide open. Harriet Thompson, who ran her last race at 94 and didn't even pick up running. Until her 70s. She wasn't some lifelong athlete with a trophy case. She just found something she loved and kept at it, proving you don't need to be a fitness freak to move your way into a longer, stronger life. You don't have to lace up for 26 miles either, thank goodness, but you do need to get your body going, because sitting still is the fastest way to rust. The trick is finding what fits you, not what some gym ad screams you should do. Walking Z. A gold mine, study after study like one from the American Heart Association, shows that 30 minutes a day cuts your risk of stroke and diabetes by 1/3, keeps your blood pumping, your bones solid, your mood steady. But it's not just about pounding pavement like a soldier on a mission, dancing in your kitchen to an old Motown record, shuffling your feet, swaying your hips, counts just as much, burning calories, and lifting your spirits without a treadmill in sight. Gardening's another winner, digging in the dirt, hauling a watering can, bending to yank weeds. It's a full-body workout disguised as a hobby, and it leaves you with flowers or tomatoes to show for it. Even chasing your grandkids around the yard, ducking their water balloons or tossing a ball, keeps your joints loose and your heart thumping. Your body's built for this, it thrives on motion. And when you stop, things crumble fast. Muscles shrink, joints seize up, even your energy tanks, leaving you feeling older than you are. Researchers in Sweden followed people over 60 for years and found that those who stayed active, however they chose, lived 5 years longer on average than the couch crowd, and they weren't all marathoners. Some just walked their dogs or swam a few laps. The best part? It doesn't have to feel like punishment. If you hate gyms, skip them. Crank up the radio and dance instead. If you love nature, hike a trail and let the trees pull you along. Harriet didn't run because she had to. She ran because it lit her up, and that's the key. Find what moves you literally, and you're not exercising anymore. You're just alive. The quiet habit that changes everything. Now, let's ease off the gas for a minute and talk about something so simple it's almost invisible. Rest. The kind that goes way beyond crashing on the couch with a remote in your hand. Sure, sleep's a cornerstone. Aim for 7 to 8 hours a night, because skimping on it throws your hormones into chaos, spikes your stress, and leaves you groggy and grumpy. But real rest, the kind that rewires you for the long haul, digs deeper than just shutting your eyes. Picture a 78-year-old monk in Thailand, his face smooth as a 50-year-old's, sitting cross-legged under a tree, breathing slow and steady for 20 minutes a day. He's not chasing some mystical vibe. He's tapping into something science is just catching up to. Studies, like one from Harvard, show that sitting quietly, focusing on your breath, or even just letting your mind settle, can drop your blood pressure/stress hormones like cortisol, and protect the very tips of your DNA, these little caps called telomeres that wear down with age. Stress chews those telomeres up, aging you faster, calm them down, and you're buying time. You don't need a monastery or a guru whispering in your ear. 5 minutes of deep breathing in the morning, slow inhales through your nose, long exhales, like you're blowing out a candle, can shift your whole system. Or take a walk outside, not to burn calories, but to listen The wind, the birds, the crunch of leaves underfoot, letting the world pull you out of your head. People skip this because it feels like doing nothing. And in a way, it is nothing. Frantic, nothing forced. But that's where the magic hides. In that stillness, your body's repairing itself. Your mind's untangling knots you didn't know were there. And you're setting up every other habit to work better. The monk doesn't look 50 by accident. He's learned that rushing ages you while pausing keeps you young. Try it tomorrow. Sit with your coffee, no phone, no noise, just you and your breath for a few minutes. It's awkward at first, maybe boring, but stick with it, and you'll feel a shift, a lightness, a reset that ripples through everything else you do. Connection keeps you young. Ever wonder why some older folks seem to radiate life, eyes bright, laugh loud, while others shrink into themselves, fading like old photographs? A big piece of it comes down to who's in their corner, who's sharing their days. There's this village in Japan, Okinawa, where people hit 100 so often it's almost normal, and they've got a word, moai, for their little crews of friends, tight-knit groups who've got each other's backs through thick and thin. They meet up, swap stories over tea, cook meals together, lean on each other when the world gets heavy. It's not just cute. It's a lifeline. A famous Harvard study tracked people for 80 years, and found that strong relationships were the single biggest predictor of a long, healthy life, beating out money, fame, even exercise. Good friends, family, even a chatty neighbor. They keep your heart ticking and your mind sharp in ways pills can't touch. Loneliness, though? It's brutal. Studies link it to higher risks of heart disease, depression, even early death, as deadly as smoking a pack a day. You don't need a whole village or a packed social calendar. A few real connections do the trick. Call that friend you've been meaning to catch up with. Spend 20 minutes laughing about nothing. Join a club, book group, bowling league, whatever. Pulls you in, and let the chatter build bonds. Or just wave at your neighbor over the fence, swap a few words about the weather, and watch it grow into coffee on the porch. An 85-year-old woman named Clara swears her weekly book club keeps her sharper than any brain game. She's right. The debates, the jokes, the feeling of being seen light up your brain like a switchboard, boosting mood and memory. It's not about how many people you know, it's about feeling like you matter. In Okinawa, they don't just live long. They live full, surrounded by their moai. And you can borrow that spark wherever you are. The surprise habit you didn't see coming. Ready for the twist that ties it all together? It's not about what you do with your hands or your feet. It's what's happening in your head. The story you tell yourself about getting older. Yoi! Wild study from Yale followed older adults for 2 decades and found something jaw-dropping. The ones who saw aging as a chance to grow, a new chapter to write, lived 7.5 years longer than those who bought into the old and frail. Myth, 7.5 years. It's not voodoo. It's your mindset steering your body like a ship. If you picture 70 or 80 as a launch pad, time to paint, travel, start a blog, your brain and cells pick up the signal, staying active, adaptable, ready for more. But if you see it as a slow slide into the rocking chair, your body follows, slumping into decline like it's following orders. Take Ellen, 81, who picked up a paintbrush after her husband died, not because she was Picasso, but because she decided her story wasn't over. Now she's selling canvases at local galleries, but she'll tell you it's not about the art. It's about believing she's still got gas in the tank. Another guy, Tom, 75, started volunteering at a food bank after retirement, not for the karma, but because he figured, why not? And he swears he feels 50 again. Science says they're not imagining it. Positive beliefs about aging lower stress, boost immunity, even improve how your heart handles a tough day. This isn't fluffy self-help. It's the spark that makes every other habit click. Without it, the water, the walks, the friends, they fizzle. With it, they ignite. So next time you catch yourself dreading the years ahead, flip it. What's one thing you've always wanted to try? Your answer might just add years to your clock. Conclusion. So there you have it. 5 golden habits, plus that sneaky 6th, weaving a tapestry you can wrap around your life to age not just well, but brilliantly. It starts small, a glass of water to wake your cells, a stretch to loosen your frame, little moves that build a foundation without breaking you. Then there's food, not as fuel, but as medicine. Olive oil, nuts, veggies, borrowing from those Mediterranean grandmas who've outlived us all. Your brain gets its turn, hungry for new challenges, languages, instruments, anything to keep it buzzing, because a sharp mind doesn't quit. Movement slips in next, not as a chore, but a joy. Walking, dancing, gardening, keeping you nimble and strong without a gym membership. Rest follows, quiet but mighty. Sleep, breath, stillness, rebuilding you from the inside out. And connection, that warm thread of friends and family, ties it together, lighting up your days and your health in ways science can't ignore. Then, the surprise, your belief, the lens you see aging through, stretching your life longer than you'd guess. These aren't rigid laws or a checklist to stress over. They're flexible, alive, ready to fit your world however you shape them. But here's the real question to chew on. What if the true secret isn't in the habits at all, but in when you start? Not next month, not when the stars align, today, this minute, before the sun sets. Every day you wait, you're rolling the dice, betting against your own future. Harriet ran at 94 because she didn't wait. Ellen painted at 81 because she said yes. What's your yes going to be?